Welcome to this edition of Utah Libraries Have You Covered. We're coming to you from the Utah State Library Blind and Disabled recording studios. I'm Jeri Openshaw. I'm joined by Jason Powers at the controls, and today we are thrilled to have the Art Access Executive Director, Gabriella Huggins. Welcome.
Good to be here, Jeri. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We've been trying to do this for some time.
Forever.
So we're pretty happy to have you finally here in studio. So it's great. Let's get started. I want to talk about Art Access and what those resources are and for whom. But let's start with a little background on Gabriella.
Yeah. So my name is Gabriella Huggins. I was born and raised in Salt Lake City, actually grew up in Rose Park, so right near the Utah State Library.
Yay.
And so it's very exciting and kind of mind-boggling, actually, that I didn't realize such a vast and important resource, especially now working in disability, exists so close to where I grew up. It's really, really special to get to be in this space and talking with you about the work that I do now. Yeah, no, thank you. Wow, I grew up in just kind of, I think of myself as a product of high quality nonprofit programming. I had really great art teachers in high school and then was just very civically engaged as a teen, working with institutions headed by the city, doing like youth government leadership kind of work. And then I also volunteered throughout high school and like basically up into my early adulthood with an organization called the Inclusion Center that does like social equity work in the community. And then I, worked at Costco and was like, kind of floating around after high school trying to figure out what to do. And a really great organization here that I also was raised in is called Spy Hop Productions.
Absolutely.
We love Spy Hop. Yeah,
sure.
Spy Hop is the best. So I was in their programs from the time that I was 14 to 19, and then I aged out and then started working for Youth City. After my tenure at Costco and membership, it was great, and went to a Utah After School Network training as part of my work with Youth City, running after school programming for teens here in Rose Park as well, and ran into a mentor of mine at Spy Hop who was like, "Hey, Gabby, we're expanding programs. We would love for you to come be the mentor of community programs." For Spy Hop. Yeah, it was great. So I got poached from U City, which was awesome. And then worked for Spy Hop for 6 years, doing direct community work. So really taking what Spy Hop does in their building, those media mentorship programs into rural communities, into youth juvenile justice centers, working on reservations, working a lot with foster care students. It was a really, really gorgeous, like very pivotal experience for me.
In case people don't know, explain a little bit about Spy Hop. We won't go into it in detail, but for people who may not understand Spy Hop.
Yeah, so Spy Hop is a really, really awesome, strong, really unique organization in Utah. They do youth digital media programming. So they do audio production, game design, filmmaking, digital media, basically production. And it's really, we when we were on staff, the staff would really talk about the media projects being the tool to advocate for youth voice, to help young people find agency in through storytelling, and then take that storytelling to change the world in their communities.
And we've used them a lot.
Yeah, they are a great resource. They, again, like those folks raised me, and I feel like really coming from that foundation of not only like really understanding what a good nonprofit can do, brought me into this role with Art Access, allowing me to really envision what Art Access has been, really balancing tradition with innovation to make it the strongest organization it can be.
So Spy Hop, you're still there.
And then a friend of mine was on the board for Art Access and was the last executive director was transitioning out. And my friend was like, "Hey, we need someone to sit on the hiring committee for this position. Here's the role, da-da-da-da-da. Gabby, actually, you should apply for it." And I was like, "I'm not qualified to do that. I've never been in a leader in an organization of that scope before. I don't think I'll get it." But she's like, "You should do it. You should do it. You should do it." So I did it, and here I am.
And how long have you been there?
I just passed my 4th year as executive director at Art Access. Yeah,
that's great. We here at the Utah State Library for the Blind and Disabled have worked with Art Access in many capacities. I think it's been, I want to say about 10 years ago, we did a project called Beyond Art. And it was a thought that I had that maybe it would be fun to do an art exhibit when the department was still over at the Rio Grande Depot and we had the gallery. I'm like, let's do a project of art from people who are blind and disabled.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, it'll be fun. I'll probably get a few, I would send out a call for entries. I'll probably get a few. We had 160 pieces.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. And Art Access was so instrumental in helping us put it all together and find artists. And it was terrific. I'd love to do it again sometime.
Let's please. Yeah, I think that's what I appreciate so much about Art Access. It has such a deep, rich legacy in this city. It's been around for 42 years now.
Right.
So our mission is increasing access to the arts through opportunities for disabled artists and education for the community and cultural institutions. So we do direct programming, often supporting emerging disabled artists with things like professional development, increasing collaboration, and then providing a platform for representation of disability perspectives in our art galleries around the city and state. And then we also have a great partnership with the Utah Division of Arts and Museums that allows us to facilitate a training called Breaking Barriers. So Breaking Barriers trains cultural institutions, both rural and urban, kind of across different art forms. So we've trained movie theaters and film centers. We've trained the Utah Symphony. We've trained small like publishing presses in rural Utah, stuff all over the map. And we help them create accessibility plans that are focused on their programs and how to integrate access to people across abilities into their programming.
And we don't think about that on a daily basis, do we? But you were very instrumental in helping us here at the State Library and Library for the Blind and Disabled. And we got it. We figured we had it down pretty much, but we didn't. We have automatic doors to the bathroom now.
I think that's what's special about Breaking Barriers specifically is disability is such a broad umbrella.
Sure.
We cover the 5 areas of disability. So everything, which I think, a lot of folks take physical disability for granted as what disability looks like. So, someone who is blind, using a cane, right? Like being blind is often an invisible disability, and you wouldn't know that someone is blind unless they're maybe using a mobility device to support navigation. Often people take for granted like wheelchair use as where disability begins and ends, but really there's a broad spectrum. Physical, neurodivergence, chronic pain can fall under disability. So I think it's special to be able to train folks. It's really introductory, really, about like best practices around access, moving beyond the ADA and into universal design, thinking about space, social space especially, to be accessible for as many people as possible without need for specialized accommodations.
Exactly.
Building a community of practice. And I think that's what's so special for me about having met you through Breaking Barriers, where it's like, oh, wow, what a massive resource that's in our city, that's in our state, that a lot of cultural organizations probably don't know about.
Exactly.
I get to do Braille printing in our gallery space now because I can come and speak and work with y'all on those projects. So it's cool to be like building.
And audio, and a lot of times in this day and age, audio works probably as well or, better maybe, especially for people who are adjusting to losing their sight or there's just a variety of things. People just learning about a disability. So audio works better because Braille is difficult to learn.
Right. It's a skill set. And I think, again, porque no los dos in my head is like, let's do Braille printing and audio descriptions on every single label. And that allows.
And you can come right here and record.
And that is just a gift that I think it's so special to be able to be kind of the connective tissue between.
I love it.
To be a base of doing training. And also, I don't have to be the expert. I get to say, well, there are experts here doing blind and visually impaired work. There are folks working with, hard of hearing individuals or specializing in ASL. We made it also a relationship with the USU's Disability Institute that has a great loaning program for organizations to rent out mobility devices, audio devices across the range of disabilities for really inexpensive.
Nice.
So it's cool to be able to learn, really understand again, that umbrella of disability is so broad, but it's so special that our access doesn't have to be the one expert. We can do the work that we do and then connect and build connections.
Pass it along.
Yeah. And so and then we're all working together across our organizations on this project.
That's why we exist.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Art Access. Let's talk a little bit about what you offer.
Yeah.
I've been to a couple events there that I love. Well, let's first of all talk about who the people are who come to you and how they find you and all of that.
Yeah, so our Accesses programming has changed over the years. Again, we've been open operating since 1984. It was started really incubated in Park City by parents who had disabled children and were really wanting to find quality adaptive art programming for them. So we got incorporated in 1984 with a lot of support from the Kennedy Center. And we've done so many different things. We've done like art therapy workshops with folks coping with PTSD. We've done teen zines working with disabled students to tell their stories through print materials. Currently, we've really pared down a lot. Coming into the organization, I'll be honest, we're in a pivotal space. Obviously, arts and cultural organizations across the nation are really in an uncertain time. We're facing cuts at the state and federal level. And so we're really all having to pivot on how we do our programming. And again, I think my foundation, working with a really grounded, effective nonprofit that was SpyHop, brought me into this role and really wanting not only to make sure that our programs were in line with the capacity of our team, with the expertise of our team, but also have more impact on the people that we serve, even if the numbers aren't as high as what people, I think sometimes a number subtly guides what impact means. But I think there's also a lot of value in qualitative, sustained relationship work. So right now we have a program called Partners. It's our flagship program, started in 1994, the year I was born, which is wild. And Partners pairs an emerging disabled artist with an established artist in the community for 25 hours of co-mentorship. We pay both artists for their time and then also subsidize the cost of materials and host a gallery show for them every year. It's such a beautiful program. I mean, there are several artists, even in the time that I've worked in this role, who continue to work together. So that's building these really gorgeous collaborations of mentorship between folks who are at different ends of their careers, which is really, really special to see.
And the depth of their talent.
Totally. I mean,
it's astonishing.
I think that's something else that I learned working at SpyHop, right, is just by happenstance of doing media production with young people. The populations that I was working with, many of those students lived with disabilities. And so, I've seen students who are nonverbal or otherwise non-communicative be so expressive through art. And I think we, again, take for granted about disability that it's like
a barrier.
Right, that it's a barrier, that it's a negative. There's a lot of really negative stereotyping about what being disabled means that we just take for granted, that our culture takes for granted. And so I think creating intentional spaces for disabled people to be supported in their process and how they communicate and how they come to a space, but also what they bring to a space, is very powerful work that I'm grateful to get to be part of.
You're very lucky. I think it's a great service. And like I said, so many great programs you offer throughout the year.
Yep. So we have the Partner Show as part of a broader, and it's kind of a newer product that we're trying to redevelop. I think something that I've noticed in the time that I've been in this role is that we have, there's like the funding structure issues that are difficult for any nonprofit, but I also think that it's important to be able to bridge the gap between our community while also focusing on serving disabled artists. So Partners, those showcases, we re-established a relationship with Gallery Stroll, so that our gallery space is open.
Perfect, yeah.
Yep, our gallery space is open in line with Friday Gallery Strolls, and that allows us to showcase the artwork of disabled artists, but also engage community members in what is being created by disabled artists. So something that we'll be rolling out in 2026 is the Artist Expo Demo Series, which is not only a gallery show in line with Gallery Stroll, but then the following morning, the artist or artists who are involved in the showcase will be hosting an adaptive art making experience for community members. Again, like thinking about universal design, bridging the gap between audiences and artists and saying this is not only what they're creating, but this is the process. This is how artists work with adaptive tools. Mm-hmm. Here's how you might work with an adaptive tool. How can you experience art in a way that you might not typically think art should be experienced? What does it mean to have tactile art? What does it mean to use audio with art? How are we finding creative ways to educate people about universal design, and then also creating many ways for people to experience one piece of artwork across abilities. So that's through Braille, that's through audio descriptions, that might be tactile, but really building universal design in a way that is not typical of arts galleries and museums.
It's such a fun location too, and really kind of upbeat, and fun, and it's a different area than when I worked with Art Access before. You've moved back behind in this really cool area where there are apartments, and this is very cool.
Yeah, so we're in the Art Space building on 5th West, between 2nd and 3rd South, and Art Space is also such a great location because it is it houses artists, right? Something that we were open for the partner showcase in September. And one of our neighbors came through and was like, yeah, when I lived, he had moved away and he used to live at Art Space, moved away, came back and was like, I know the pandemic has kind of shut everything down. This place used to be really activated, though. People would have their home studios open along with the different businesses and nonprofit organizations that are there. And so something that we're also ramping up to in collaboration with our neighbors and with the other businesses that we get to be housed with is trying to be more intentional about collaborating on opening that space up again, not only bringing people to Art Access so that we can share about,
And how do you do that? What's your process of bringing people in?
Well, now it's going to be, hey, let's spread the love of communicating together as opposed to being siloed and trying to really trying to cross-pollinate our audiences. So invite your friends. Let's use the newsletter. Let's talk to the businesses, and they can advertise it too, opening ourselves up to have the space be activated again so that people can have not only especially now more than ever, it feels like social space is so necessary, having a third space to show up, to learn things, to engage with art. We really believe Art Access does that. Art is a vital part of the human experience. It shapes culture. And so how do we bring people intentionally together to experience culture, to think about new ideas, to meet each other, engage with each other, build new relationships, learn something that hopefully expands the worldview, the possibility of what we can all have.
I heard a quote from Jane Fonda, and I love to share this because she said, I can tell you as a senior citizen, and many seniors are disabled as well, but she said, I can tell you as a senior citizen how to add 7 years to your life. Go do community art.
100%.
Go do art. And I'm like, yeah.
I think that's the other cool thing about, I think the state does really lovely work funding creative aging projects. Our friends at Saltgrass Printmakers are constantly doing programming for older and aging folks to keep them engaged in community. I think it's like this population of young people who are really disengaged after they get out of high school. And then there's also a population of older folks who are
also disengaged.
Who are also disengaged. Right. And so providing opportunities for people of all ages to come and learn something and meet each other and have connection is so, so important to keeping people healthy, to keeping people sharp.
Add 7 years to their life.
Add 7 years to their lives. And, I think it's aging becomes such like a tragic story in the way that disability can become a tragic story. And that's, I personally don't take that for granted. And I think what is my role? What is our responsibility to each other to make sure that we keep each other around, keep each other healthy and happy?
And no matter what age, art just enhances your brain. It just helps you
100%.
Move through life 100% better.
Taking a dance class, learning a language, making a painting, doing a screen print. There's so many, just activating doing gardening. Like being active is just important for us sticking around. And I really want to be mindful that everybody needs that space. And so Art Access is definitely committed to creating that.
So how can people get in touch with you to find out what you offer and how to get involved?
People can follow us on Instagram at Art Access Utah. We also have a newsletter that you can subscribe to by visiting our website, artaccessutah.org. Right now, our programming season is just barely phasing out, but I do have a community needs assessment that I have launched that I would love input and feedback about what kinds of activities people would like to be engaged in so I can organize those things for you.
So people, now's your chance.
Let us know.
Let them know. I think it'd be great. So artaccessutah.org. Artaccessutah.org.
Yep.
Go there.
Go there. Take a needs assessment. Donate to our cause.
Yes. Donate to the cause. It's well worth it. Add 7 years to your life.
I love that. Donate to Art Access and add 7 years to your life.
I love it.
That's the coin.
It's the perfect. Yep. Well, Gabriella, thank you so much for coming and joining us for this podcast. And I hope to come see you soon there.
Yeah, we will.
Art's a thing.
We are not strangers, Jeri. I'm lock and key now.
Yes, we are. Friends for life. Thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for joining us today. We're coming to you from the Utah State Library, which is a division of the Department of Cultural and Community Engagement. Services offered through the Utah State Library include library services for the blind and disabled, the Bookmobile program, Book Buzz for book groups, Utah's online library with useful databases, and Libby for audiobook checkouts, and so much more. Check out all the services at library.utah.gov. That's library.utah.gov.